Presidential debates. The stage where words have the power to shape nations, sway millions, and make history. From fiery exchanges to unforgettable zingers.
You know, he wants to be a tough guy. A lot of times, you'll have, and it doesn't work very well with
How tough is it to take property from an elderly woman?
Let me talk. Quiet.
How tough is it?
A lot of times, that's all of his donors and special interests out there. So, it's what it is.
These moments have defined political legacies and captured the world's attention.
I have said the
Secretary,
exact same
Senator,
thing.
please.
If we can raise it to 15 in New York or Los Angeles or Seattle.
Reagan, what you just repeated here today is patent. Wait, no, Hillary, you just spoke.
I did not say anything about Ronald Reagan. You said two things. You talked about admiring Ronald Reagan, and you talked about the ideas.
In this video, we're diving into the most iconic and game-changing highlights of all time. These aren't just debate moments, they're turning points in American history. Stay with us as we count down 12 of the best presidential debate moments that left the nation talking and shaped the future. Let's get started. During the 1984 presidential debates, Ronald Reagan delivered a memorable line when addressing concerns about his age compared to his younger opponent, Walter Mondale.
You already are the oldest president in history, and some of your staff say you were tired after your most recent encounter with Mr. Mondale.
The humorous remark not only diffused the concern, but also became one of the most iconic moments of the debate, showcasing Reagan's wit and charm. Even Mondale couldn't help but laugh at the line. Many people think that Barack Obama lost his first debate against Mitt Romney. TV commentators criticized Obama for being too passive and laid back, while Romney aggressively attacked right from the start.
Almost the entire political chattering classes agree that President Obama lost the first presidential debate.
Many say Mitt Romney wins in more ways than one. Going into the debate, President Obama was way ahead of Romney in the likability polls. But last night, Romney won up the president.
As a result, there was significant pressure on Obama to come out fighting in the second and third debates. I'll leave it up to you to decide if he succeeded, but here are some of the more memorable moments from when he took the fight to Romney.
Mr. President, have you looked at your pension? Have you looked at your pension?
I've got to say.
Mr. President, have you looked at your pension?
You know, I don't look at my pension. It's not as big as yours, so it doesn't take as long.
Let me give you some. Let me give you some advice.
I don't check it that often.
You'll get your chance in a moment. I'm still speaking.
Well,
and the answer is, I don't believe people think that's the case because that wasn't a question.
Okay.
That was a statement.
I'm glad that you recognize that Al-Qaeda is a threat, because a few months ago, when you were asked what's the biggest geopolitical threat facing America, you said Russia. Not Al-Qaeda, you said Russia. And the 1980s are now calling to ask for their foreign policy back.
During the 1992 vice presidential debate, Ross Perot's running mate, Admiral James Stockdale, opened with the striking question.
Stockdale, your opening statement, please, sir.
Who am I? Why am I here?
He said this to address the fact that he was a relatively unknown figure compared to his opponents and to express the confusion surrounding his unexpected role in the election, highlighting his status as a political outsider.
I'm not a politician, everybody knows that, so don't expect me to use the language of the Washington Insider.
During the 1988 presidential debate, Dan Quayle compared his political experience to that of former President John F. Kennedy, trying to emphasize that young politicians could still be effective leaders. In response, his opponent, Lloyd Bentsen, delivered a stinging retort that became one of the most famous moments in debate history.
I have as much experience in the Congress as Jack Kennedy did when he sought the presidency. I will be prepared to deal with the people in the Bush administration if that unfortunate event would ever occur.
Senator Bentsen.
Senator, I served with Jack Kennedy. I knew Jack Kennedy. Jack Kennedy was a friend of mine. Senator, you're no Jack Kennedy.
That was really uncalled for, Senator.
You're the one that was making the comparison, Senator.
During the 1984 Democratic primaries, there was a notable moment when Walter Mondale used a popular TV commercial reference to criticize Gary Hart's policies. This was significant because, at the time, Hart had a slight lead in the race. However, Mondale's sharp remark helped him gain momentum and ultimately win the nomination.
If the people that they looked in and saw had uniforms on, I'd shoot the aircraft down. If they were civilians, I'd just let it keep going.
Mr. Glenn?
Can I respond to that?
Well, we'll come back to you. Let some of the others.
What's new about coming out for entrepreneurs? You know, when I hear your new ideas, I'm reminded of that ad. Where's the beef?
Yeah. If you'd
let's keep going to the
For some additional context, especially for those who weren't around in the 1980s, the line Mondale used came from a famous Wendy's commercial.
Very big, fluffy bun.
Ronald Reagan's memorable debate moment came during the 1980 election, when he faced incumbent President Jimmy Carter in their only debate. Despite having just one opportunity, Reagan delivered a line that would go on to define the campaign and secure his victory.
Now we have an opportunity to move toward national health insurance with an emphasis on the prevention of disease, an emphasis on outpatient care, not inpatient care. Governor Reagan, again, typically is against such a proposal.
Governor, there you go again. When I opposed Medicare, there was another piece of legislation meeting the same problem before the Congress. I happened to favor the other piece of legislation and thought that it would be better.
While the line may seem simple, it had a lasting impact. According to Wikipedia, it became the defining phrase of the 1980 election, effectively suggesting that Reagan's opponent was exaggerating or being overly dramatic. The line was so well received that Reagan continued to use it in later speeches and press conferences. In the recent debate between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris, Trump made a weird statement that became a highlight of the night. He suggested that immigrants allowed into the country by the Biden-Harris administration were responsible for this.
In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. And this is what's happening in our country, and it's a shame. She's destroying this country, and if she becomes president, this country doesn't have a chance of success. Not only success, we'll end up being Venezuela on steroids.
Will you shut up, man? During the 2020 debate between Biden and Trump, Joe Biden was running for president, aiming to motivate voters.
You should go out and vote. You're in voting now. Vote and let your senators know how strongly you feel. Vote now.
However, Donald Trump's constant interruptions made his task significantly more challenging.
Because the question is,
radical left.
Will you shut up, man?
Listen, who is on your list, Joe?
Who's on your list?
Right, gentlemen, I think
this is so unprecedented.
He's going to pack the court.
We have ended.
Not going to give a list.
We have ended.
This one is more of a funny moment than a sharp line. During the 2000 debates between George W. Bush and Al Gore, there was a particularly odd interaction that always stands out. At one point, Gore inexplicably walked right up to Bush, invading his personal space in an almost awkward manner.
On behalf of the people. That's what the question in this campaign is about. It's not only what's your philosophy and what's your position on issues, but can you get things done? And I believe I can. All right.
During the 2016 presidential debate, Donald Trump faced criticism for his derogatory remarks about women. When pressed on his comments, he responded with a memorable quip.
You've called women you don't like fat pigs, dogs, slobs, and disgusting animals. Your Twitter account...
Only Rosie O'Donnell.
This remark not only deflected attention from his previous statements, but also showcased Trump's tendency to use humor and personal attacks in his defense. The moment encapsulated Trump's approach to debate, blending confrontation with humor. In a heated moment during the 2008 Democratic primary debate, Barack Obama challenged Hillary Clinton's ties to big business, referencing her past as a corporate attorney.
While I was working on those streets, watching those folks see their jobs shipped overseas, you were a corporate lawyer sitting on the board of Walmart. I was fighting these fights. So
Clinton swiftly responded,
Yes, they did have ideas, and they were bad ideas. Bad for America. And I was fighting against those ideas when you were practicing law and representing your contributor, Resco, in his slum landlord business in inner city Chicago.
Hold on one second, hold on.
This exchange was pivotal in illustrating the sharp divisions between the two candidates and their differing views on corporate influence in politics. Clinton's retort emphasized her commitment to advocacy for the underprivileged, contrasting her background with Obama's critique. Now, for the #1 moment that defined the Trump-Clinton debates, this line stands out for its audacity and impact.
Fact-checking, so I expect we'll have millions more fact-checking because, you know, it's just awfully good that someone with the temperament of Donald Trump is not in charge of the law in our country.
Because you'd be in jail.
Secretary Clinton.
By suggesting that Clinton's actions warranted imprisonment, he not only shifted the narrative, but also energized his supporters. What was the reason behind Donald Trump's ascension to power? Check out this video to explore the journey that took him from Brooklyn, New York, to the White House.